Hello and welcome to episode 67 of the Spotlight Games podcast. My name is Patrick, and today we are going to be reviewing the Callisto Protocol for PlayStation 5. We're joined by Boston Mike to do so. We'll get to him in a minute. Fuck you, Boston Mike. We're also going to be talking about the future of this year, 2023, the games coming out this year, what we're excited about, what we're not excited about, and so on and so forth. So why don't we jump into the show? I already told him to fuck him, but let's introduce him. Boston Mike, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. What's up, dudes? It is a pleasure to be here. I am so excited to talk about games.
Yeah.
Specifically, I don't know if I'm super excited to talk about one game, but I'm super excited to talk about games, plural.
Okay. Hey, that's honestly, you're in the right place. That's all we need. Also joining me to my screen right, my actual across the city, Cayman Darty, the dumpster boy himself, my sweet dumpster boy in the flesh, in the dumpster. How are we doing today?
Patrick, I'm doing fantastic today. As you can tell by the look on my face,
the
sound of my voice.
Ooh.
That's all I got. I'm sorry.
Sure.
There's nothing clever that's going to come out of me today, probably. A lot of anger, maybe.
Sure. Yeah, here's the thing. I don't think we always need to be clever. I think sometimes it's okay to be our real, authentic self. And if your real, authentic self is just here feeling a bit bad, that's okay. We can talk about it by way of talking about the Callisto Protocol and video games, because this is the Spotlight Games podcast where each week we talk about the latest and the greatest in the world of video games. You can get it by subscribing on your favorite podcast app of choice or on our YouTube channel at Spotlight Games Pod and twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Follow us there so that you're notified when we go live so you can be part of the conversation. Cayman?
Yes, sir.
Save Trash Cinema just had an episode released today with the three of us.
It's true, yeah.
Tell the folks at home about it.
Yeah, so Save Trash Cinema today, while you're listening to this episode, whether it be live or not live, we covered the 2007 Grindhouse collaboration, part one of the Grindhouse collaboration, Planet Terror by director Robert Rodriguez. It is a high-flying action zombie film with lots of blood, guts, and Rose McGowan with a gun for a leg. So it's a good one, guys. I mean, if I do say so myself, I mean, it was the three of us who did it together.
Sure.
So.
Sure. Yeah, your post on socials today mentioned Quentin Tarantino's droopy balls. Goopy balls? Droopy or
goopy balls, and then gangrenous testicles, I think, was another thing we said, which both are accurate, honestly.
Both are accurate. I shared your share, when you're tagged, it's like, share this to your story. And my mother responded. And she goes, ooh, Tarantino is creepy to begin with, and now he has goopy balls. Gross out.
Yeah, there you go, Louise.
Oh,
come on, Louise.
Mama Patrick.
Come on, Louise.
I know she will never hear this ever because I don't think she knows how to listen to podcasts. But shout out to Mama Lou.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you remember, Patrick? I'm not to sidebar for a second. Do you remember the time that we attempted to watch Die Hard 3 and your mom walked in, and she walked in like right at the opening of it? And if anyone who's seen Die Hard 3, you know exactly what we're talking about. She was not pleased with our choice of viewing of that.
Certainly do.
That's my best memory of Louise, honestly.
Sure.
Is she more of a sequel type of lady? Is that why she was mad?
She's less racist than I think the
Die Hard
movie is.
Yes, the opening of that movie, at least. She was not pleased with the fact that that movie's opening existed, period.
Yeah, it's
not good. She didn't like Christmas. She wasn't a Christmas.
Well, Die Hard 3. Does Die Hard 3 start at Christmas too?
No, that's like middle of summer.
Yeah.
Middle of summer in LA.
Seasons.
Yeah. No, it's in New York. Middle of summer in New York, I think.
Ooh, New York summer, not good. Not good. We also this week have a new episode of Spotlight TV, our newest podcast endeavor, in which hosted by the late Jeremiah Parker Hobbs, because he passed away today. May he rest in peace.
Damn, that was a short-lived podcast.
Yeah, he didn't die. But each episode, we're doing a deep dive into The Last of Us on HBO. We just covered episode 2 with myself and Cayman. And hey, Boston Mike might be making an appearance here in the near future. We'll see. That's going to happen. But go to we're on Apple now. So right now I think it's Apple, Amazon, and Spotify is where you can get the Spotlight TV. So go give it a listen, give it a follow if you're interested in three nerds talking about The Last of Us. Because I think I'm gonna go out on a limb, Cayman. I'm gonna go on a soapbox and say I think it's a really fucking good podcast. I think we nail it.
I love it. I love it. I will. Hey, you know what? You guys don't have to do it. I'll do it for you. As a fan, as a person who supports the troops, the podcast is great. And if you don't listen, then you don't support the troops.
Thank you. You're such a patriot.
I know.
See, yeah, it's New England Patriots. All right,
it.
boys, we have gone on long enough. We've had too good a time in the opening of the show. Why don't we jump into the topic of the show that we start with every week, which is what we've been playing. We already said at the top of the show, we're going to be reviewing the Callisto Protocol. So we're going to talk about games that we've been playing that aren't the Callisto Protocol. So stick around for a few more minutes if you want to hear all about that questionable video game. Mike, you're our guest. What have you been playing that's not the Callisto Protocol since last time you were on this podcast, which was like months ago?
Ooh, yeah. Well, I did beat The Last of Us for the first time, so that was really fun. It is so good. Oh, we're all in for a treat. But anyways, neither here nor there. I started playing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and I did not know that this game, 1, was really good, and 2 was freaking hard. What the hell?
Yeah, it's hard.
This game is I was so thrown aback. I'm just getting beat up by rodents left and right. I'm like, where are the stormtroopers? It's bugging me. I'm texting Cayman, venting through, getting happy when I get through it. And then I'm like, is this Elden Ring again? Did I just Elden Ring myself in the past? I don't know what's going on, but I like it.
A lot of people, when it first came out, compared it a lot to like Demon's Souls and Bloodborne because Elden Ring hadn't come out yet.
Yep.
What difficulty are you playing on?
Just normal. And I thought I was going to be able to just like rip it through, and I'm just dying a lot. You know, I really like stat wings that are kind of like from Skyrim. Like I love that type of thing where I can pick and choose how that goes up. So I really like that.
Yeah.
But I don't like how they just totally did the Elden Ring style where I just die and I lose all my experience. I'm like, This is a real game.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. Sure. Don't be afraid to drop it to whatever the easy mode is until you get, because that game is very much, you have to master the parry. If you don't master the parry, it will be difficult on normal or above.
Yeah, that is very accurate. That game is at least early on. I think I played it on normal mode to completion, and early on it is not easy. Well, I mean, once you start getting leveled up, it gets more manageable.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the game can be a huge pain in the ass early in the game, and then when you get to Darth Maul's planet later on, like just fuck that whole level. It sucks.
Yeah. Dathomir is not a very fun planet because there's a lot of hard people there. Have you fought Mike on the first planet you're on? There's this giant frog. Have you come across the giant frog yet?
I've come across 2 of them, and I ran away from both.
Yeah, those things fuck.
Those things. Yeah. I almost killed one of them, and then it just got me. I am pretty glad that I did play like the Elden Rings and whatnot, because it is very much similar to like just roll and parry. So I really like that. What I actually really love is that I feel like I'm in a Star Wars movie. They got the soundtrack perfectly right. And there's so much like new stuff in this that I just instantly look at. I'm like, why isn't this in the movie? All these different types of characters. I'm exploring new planets. Right now I'm where the Wookiees planet is, looking for the main guy. I forget his name. He used to protect Yoda, I think, in one of the movies. So yeah, it's a blast. I'm digging it.
Hell yeah. I'm glad you like it. Because we're going to be talking about a sequel later today on the show. So buckle up.
Boy.
Cayman, what have you been playing, my friend?
I actually have kept this a secret from you, Patrick.
Ooh, I love a secret.
And
Peppa Pig 2.
Let me tell you, it's also Star Wars themed. Sydney hit me up last week and she said, Cayman, I want to play a cooperative game again. I want to play something cooperative. And I said, I think I know what we should play. So we have been playing Lego Star Wars, The Skywalker Saga.
Let's go. What do you think?
It's interesting. It doesn't feel, I mean, it feels like a Lego game, obviously, but it doesn't feel like a Lego game in the traditional sense.
Yeah, because you have a long history with Lego games. You played and platinumed several of them.
Oh, yeah. No, I love the Lego games. And I was very interested in the mechanics of this one is they're very different. Like, so I guess to kind of explain for those uninitiated, a normal like a traditional Lego game, it's all level based. And then some of the more recent games have like a hub world in which you can just explore at your leisure, complete puzzles, challenges, XYZ. However, in this one, though that is somewhat still the same, the levels don't feel like normal Lego levels. Like you're kind of exploring this like these little hub worlds, and then you'll go through and you can kind of fuck around. You can go do puzzles or races or whatever to get bricks, which is very similar to a Lego game. However, I think the big thing that's kind of weird with it is that like all of a sudden you'll just go up and hit a marker, and then you're in a level, and then all of a sudden the level's over, and it's like, all right, good, you're done. Let's move on to the next thing. And I'm like, whoa, wait, what?
Yeah.
What is this?
That is
Like,
different for sure.
yeah, there's like it doesn't seem as like heavy on like the normal Lego mechanics of like beat shit up, break a bunch of shit, move to the next level. This is like, hey, do a very small bit of gameplay that is normal, then go do just a bunch of puzzles if you want to, or not, and then just move on to the next thing. So I'm not sure right now how much I like that new style, but I will say it's just I've had a good time playing with Sid.
You
Like, it's been
know,
nice.
as you say that, I could see how, because yeah, so there's like 5 missions for each like chapter or level or whatever. And then there's the free play mode for that map, for that planet, for that city, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I could see, because a lot of the game is spent in free play mode,
Mhm.
because there's only so many missions. I could see free play mode not really working in co-op. Like
Yeah,
just
I mean,
running
it's
around.
interesting. So what we've
Yeah,
been doing is like, unless it requires both of us to be in the exact same place at the same time to complete a puzzle, which there are some like that. What we've been doing is like, well, both of us will just fuck off to the complete opposite side of the map and then essentially just work towards each other, completing puzzles as we go.
sure.
And while the puzzles are fun for the most part, I don't know. It's interesting. It's not like a normal Lego game, with
Okay.
for better or worse. I guess it really just depends on like your appreciation of that, or if you want something a little bit different that's still Lego. Like, I mean, you get that for sure.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, still enjoying it. It's just not like a traditional Lego game, which was shocking to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess for me, because listeners that have been with us for a while might remember last year when I was playing this, I adored this game.
Mhm.
But it was kind of like the first Lego game that I really got into. And so I think that probably served me, having
Yeah.
not played a lot of the Lego games before. Like this, it all felt very new. Because I had tried several Lego games and I never really got into them as much. So that all makes sense. But I'm interested to hear as you guys play more, because how much do you think you've played so far?
We are about to complete episode 1.
Okay, so
Which,
you're still pretty early.
yeah. We've probably put in, I would say, probably 6 to 8 hours total.
Okay.
But that's, you got to think like with the free play mode and the way that it's kind of modeled, like you can
Yeah.
dump a shit ton of time in that.
Yeah,
So
you really
a lot
can.
of, I would say, majority of our time has been spent just kind of messing around in the hub worlds, or like the free play mode, like just doing random things.
Yeah.
And not as much really spent anywhere else. But yeah, I've been enjoying it though, for sure.
Hell yeah.
Question for the both of you, since you
Yeah.
both played it. Do you get to kill younglings as
Younglings?
Lego?
I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I really hope so.
He killed younglings. I don't remember actually if you kill younglings in episode 3. So if I did, it didn't stick with me.
That's good.
How about that?
I would say that if you got to kill them, that would have stuck with you.
Well, you don't know me.
Fair enough. True.
You don't know me.
Oh, can't see you either.
You know who you do know? John in the chat. John, hey John. He says he's been playing the ultra competitive, rank-based multiplayer FPS MMO open world strand game, Power Wash Simulator.
Good.
What a game!
Yeah,
good.
I tell you what, I played like 2 hours of Power Wash Simulator last year. I had a great time.
I watched. They did a GDQ speed run of wash all vehicles for Power Wash Simulator. with 6 players, 6-player co-op, and it was one of the most entertaining things I've ever seen
Hell
happen
yeah.
on screen.
Speaking of games done quick, though,
Mhm.
we've talked last week or 2 weeks ago. We talked about that the show that they did, and I've said before, speedrunning not necessarily my thing. Cayman, I come to you today to tell you I watched most of a speedrun
Mhm.
yesterday of The Last of Us Part 1.
So much fun.
Ooh.
So fun.
I loved it. It was so much fun. Like seeing, I think the key for me with a speedrun is it has to be a game that I've played before, potentially maybe multiple times. Because like seeing this guy go through like the hospital, which, maybe let's not spoil anything, but like going through these portions of the game that are like very difficult, and he's going through them in like 15 seconds flat, just like throwing a bottle here, crouching for like half a second to not be seen. It was really cool to see because there were
Oh
no
yeah.
glitches. It was just him.
That's awesome.
It was really cool.
One of the I love the opening of the speedrun. If you played the game, like the opening, you and Tess, this is not really a spoiler. You and Tess have to go and like try to get some cargo or something back from Robert. I don't know what it is, and I can't remember what it is in the
It's
game.
guns.
It's guns. So you have to go get your guns back. In the opening of that speed run is so funny to me because like they're supposed to be teaching you how to be stealthy. And the first thing the dude does is you just take off fucking running and you just run behind a barricade and just double tap. And then that's it. That whole section's over. You're
Yeah.
just like, it is like I really highly recommend like going and checking out that speed run. It is so fucking
Yeah, I
funny.
want to go through and actually watch the whole thing because like it's in one other moment that really stuck out to me was like something that I never knew you could do. When you're on in the campus of Eastern Colorado, there's this section in the dorms where there's like a
Mhm.
bloater and a bunch of clickers in this like hallway that's really hard to get through. This dude just like runs through, wakes up everything, and just like throws something to distract them and goes. And at the end of that segment, you have to like push open a door by hitting triangle several times. And so all these things are just running at him. And it's like, I'm about to shit my pants because I think he's about to get ripped open. So he's in the dorm for like 14 seconds and he just has everything running at him, but he clicks the button quick enough to get out. I was like, this is awesome. I get
Yeah.
speed running now
It's
after
so
seeing
cool.
one.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad that you're enjoying some speed runs because those are
Yeah.
like that's like the highlight of my days coming home, popping on a nice speed run. I was
Hell yeah.
actually just watching a speed run of what was it? I was speed run of Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which honestly I think is the best speed run ever. It is just such a technical masterpiece to see someone do it, and
Cool.
like it is so cool. Like I just love them. Just love
Yeah.
them.
Let me ask you this. Do you prefer the non-glitch speedruns?
Honestly, like at this point in my watching, I honestly I don't really. It doesn't bother me. Like
Doesn't care.
I love watching a glitched run because I do love seeing people just break the ever living fuck out of something.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I do love sitting down and watching like a non-glitch run just to see how incredibly good these people are. Because those runs, it is just you have perfected how to play the game to like the absolute maximum. And it is awesome to see.
Yeah, it's cool. I guess, Mike, are you drinking from a mason jar right now? Did I not notice this?
Of
John in the
course.
chat. There's two types of people: those that drink from mason jars and
Is
those
that
that don't.
piss?
That is piss.
Mhm.
Are you drinking? Is it dry January or just drinking dry wine? I get it.
I'm actually not drinking anything because technically I haven't lost any mass. I'm drinking it back, so I'm just in a cycle loop of my own self. So
Circle
You're
of
just
life, baby.
being into a thing that replenishes, and you just keep that go. I like it, honestly.
you got it. You got it. Lance Armstrong's secret. So
People from Boston are fucking nuts. Okay. I think Cayman, did I talk about Midnight Suns last week? I did, right?
You did, yes.
So I've just been playing a shit ton of Midnight Suns. I'm actually on the final mission, so I'm about to be done with that. I've been really enjoying it. I think the game is about 20 hours too long.
Okay.
That's my update from last week. I'm
you
having
get
a
it?
lot of fun with it.
Did you get it physical or digital?
Digital, unfortunately.
Fuck you, Patrick.
I know it was on sale on the PSN.
That's fair.
But yeah, it's gotten to the point where like there must be huge story beats happening, and which I'm not normally like this, but like there's so much fucking story in this video game that I'm just like circle, 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 circle. I'm over it. I'm tired of it. Like I'll watch the things that you won't let me skip, but otherwise I'm skipping everything because I just want to hit credits because the gameplay is still fun to me. It's doing the thing that a lot of video games do, when they don't have like a good game to stand behind, which I still think this is a good game, but where they're like, okay, this game could end now, or what if we shoe in like 10 hours of extra stuff that's just the exact same, but just more of it. It's like, you guys really didn't need to do this. Like, I would have been over the moon if I was done with this game 10 to 15 hours ago. But now I'm like furiously trying to finish this game because there's a game coming out this week that we're going to talk about later. And that game is Dead Space. But boys, why don't we talk a little bit about a game that was very much a spiritual successor to Dead Space, which is the Callisto Protocol. This is a game that came out in December from a new studio called Striking Distance that is led by a gentleman called Glenn Schofield, who, speaking of Dead Space, was the original game director, if I'm not mistaken, on Dead Space.
Sounds about right, yeah.
And so this is very much as it was being, in its marketing cycle, shoot their tentacles, cut off their tentacles, like the back of the neck has the same health thing like Dead Space. Very much felt like this was going to be a Dead Space, truly a spiritual successor. So we were all jazzed about it. Boston Mike fell on the sword, bought a copy that we all played. And so here we are today to give our full review of the Callisto Protocol, played on PlayStation 5, copy provided by Boston Mike. So this is how I'd like for this to go. I do want to spoil this game, but let's not spoil it up front. Let's get to spoilers in a little bit. Why don't we start with just general impressions of the game? Maybe like how long we spent playing it, highlights, things that didn't work for us, game systems we liked, didn't like, kind of all that kind of meat and potatoes. And then let's jump into the story. We can talk about story beforehand. Let's just try not to spoil the shit out of it. And yeah, but we will be very clear when spoiler gloves are coming off. So the ground rules have been set, so we are safe for now of spoilers, but let's rip off the Band-Aid of what we thought with you, Boston Mike, since you did provide this game for the three of us.
Sure did.
Mike, what'd you think about the Callisto Protocol?
Oh, well, I'll start by this. I think that I liked it more than you guys because I've never played Dead Space. So I did kind of like this game, but the game does become a chore. And that is what got me pretty mad. I'm not as much of a gamer as you guys, although I'm aspiring to be. Thank you for having me on the podcast. And so this is one of the first few games since the past year or 2 years since I've really got back in a game that I finished. I'm trying to get 10 this next year. We're actually going to name some off. I bet I'm going to have them on this list by 10. So I got this game and I completed it. Probably took me 12 hours or so. If you want, I can run you through quick hitters of like my good, the bad, and the ugly impressions.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So the good, it looks fantastic as you're watching right now. It really does look great. The mocap is, I think, awesome. Like, I think Dumel, sorry. He's great. He's just an awesome actor. And Karen Fukuhara, who is Kimiko in The Boys, she is awesome. So I really like that. That's kind of sold me off the bat. Kind of had like that Death Stranding type of vibe where it's like, I'm like, oh my God, I know this actor. Like, they're in a video game. That got my attention. So I like that. The beginning is awesome. Pulls me in right away. I thought the beginning was friggin' sick. I was like, let's go. This is a cool story. Like, what is going on? There's so many questions and you're trying to figure it out. And then it's not too long. However, the bad, why the hell does this game become so long? I feel like because it's so hard. I played on easy to try to get through it quick. I don't know how somebody would play this on hard. It's overly hard as an easy game because I just wanted to get through it to give it to you guys.
Sure.
What the fuck happens in the back nine? We'll get to that. And then the ugly, these controls suck balls. I don't know who the fuck made this, but they clearly don't have
Glenn Schofield.
Yes, they clearly don't have two arms, or they had the controller on backwards. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they had, you know what? Maybe they had a Nintendo original type of controller, and then they just
Sure.
kind of forgot and went bad. The controls are so bad, and then the story just loses its luster, in my opinion, and we'll get to that.
Yeah, so I want to start with your second to last point, and I want to bring in you, Cayman, with the controls and the difficulty.
Mhm.
Did you have this same experience as Mike, that the controls sucked ass and the difficulty was way too difficult, even on easy? Or what difficulty did you play on?
I played on easy as well because I was trying to
Okay.
burn through it to get it back to Mike. Because actually, Mike gave me the game before he finished it and was like, "Hey, I'm going out of
That's
town."
right.
Mike was going to a wedding, so he's like, "Hey, you got like a week to beat this game." So I was like, "All right, cool." Like, I don't have as much time as I wish I would have. So because of that, I was like, "Fuck it, let's just play an easy." I don't have any qualms with that. Let's just roll. And while I will say that I think the game becomes much, much easier after the first act, the gameplay controls are, without a doubt, the clunkiest, most sluggish, just syrupy things I have ever laid my hands on. To the point that it was like any interaction I was having with enemies was just miserable. And not miserable because I'm like, oh man, like, oh, I don't want to go in that room because I'm going to get spook scared. It
Yeah.
was just like, I don't want to have any combat because the world is so gorgeous and gross and scary and spooky. Like the atmosphere is amazing. Like to Mike's point, like the opening hour, probably cool as hell.
Really
This
good.
trip, this trailer
Yeah.
looks awesome. I want to like. It's like I want to play this game.
And
Yeah.
All
there's
again.
there's like moments where you end up in certain places that are just really cool and like make you like, they're just really scary. Like it is very scary, especially when you pop on like the hue sync lights and
Sure.
everything's synced up. And it's like, you got like the flashing red lights when you're in like the danger zone or whatever. It's like, it's really cool. The problem is like the gameplay just sucks.
Yeah.
Yes, TurboTax. The gameplay sucks. And I think that's my biggest issue, right? Is like it's just frustrating when you're playing through it because it's not fun. Like that's my biggest thing is like at a certain point, it just doesn't become fun anymore.
I definitely agree with that. That at a certain point, it just doesn't become fun anymore. Because so I really agree that like the opening, because so you guys had both beaten this before I played it, and you had
Mhm.
both been various degrees of lukewarm to bad to like okay on it.
Yeah.
And I was still like really confident that I was like, you know what? I feel like this game is gonna click for me, even though it didn't click for either of you. And boy was I wrong. Boy was I dead wrong. I think there is good in this game, and I think I highly doubt Striking Distance will ever watch this review, but if they did, like I really want to see Callisto Protocol 2. I think
Yes.
there is the potential here for a really, really special game.
Mhm.
This is the part. This is the exact part that we're watching. If you guys are streaming it, this is
Which part? That
right now
in
that we're
what way?
watching.
No,
Oh
no,
my
like it,
gosh.
about like what?
There's some portions of this game for some reason, like once you go into like a door, you just can't go back out. And
Yeah.
so where my load was in this
The
like
checkpointing in this game
aspect,
is awful.
there's like
Yes.
12 enemies and I have 6 shots and I'm texting Cayman. I'm like, I'm never gonna be able to finish this game and I'm not gonna restart it. I'm just screwed. And it took me, I had to run through it. I ran through it somehow. I got
Yeah.
by, but yeah.
I will say I actually didn't have any difficulty with this game. Like I actually, the thing I liked most about it was the combat. I had a lot of fun with the combat, but after a certain point, I was just so tired of it because once it happens, like once you kind of understand the dodging and like what's happening on screen now, the like pulling and like throwing people and using the environment, like I really liked all of those different aspects of it, especially in rooms like this where there is something that you can use in the environment to help get through this horde of enemies, whether it's like a spinning thing in the middle, whether it's like spiky walls where you can just grab people, throw them, and they're instantly dead. Like I liked that kind of. There are times in which they ramp up the difficulty, but they give you tools to get through it as long as you have ammunition for things. Like as long as you have the juice to do the pulling, as long as you have bullets and things. And I never ran into those difficulties, and so I didn't have the same like controlling issues that you guys had. I didn't use like a different weapon until like Act 3 of this game than the pistol and just the stun baton, because I liked
Yeah.
just beating the shit out of people with it. But I think this game is like 3 times longer than it needs to be, and it's like a 9-hour game. It's like an 11 or 9-hour game. Like, it's not
Which is
very long,
wild.
which
Which
is
is wild.
wild.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
like,
it's a conundrum.
I also felt like, and I think depending on how this the video that we have up here goes, like, this is one of the few set pieces in the game where you're just like trying not to run into something and die. I feel like in a way, they spent too much time and resources on making this game gruesome instead of making it fun.
Okay.
Because,
Okay.
and what I mean by that is, I feel like when you, yeah, there goes one of them. You touch that fan and it just cuts you in half. And like, I'm sure, because there are a billion ways to die gruesomely in this video game, and I feel like that had to take a lot of time to program, to do art for, to animate, and like, I don't know. I've never been in game design. I've never developed a video game, so like, I might be talking out of my ass, and I might be speaking from a place of like supreme ignorance here, but it just seems like at the end of the day, I feel like they spent time focused on the wrong things. And I don't know if you guys agree on that point.
So I want to point out something. So when they kept showing us video, like, here's some gameplay from the game, which is like what we're watching right now. It definitely feels to me, after playing this game and then going back and watching this, that this almost feels like there is a new game plus, which, by the way, doesn't exist right now and won't until February.
I think it just came out, actually. They streamlined it and fast tracked it.
Oh,
It
they
came
were
out
able to
earlier
get,
this
okay.
week.
Because the
Yeah,
thing is like, there might be some fun to be had in New Game Plus, but like, the amount of times that they're able to pick up and like throw enemies, that doesn't happen in the game. It's those points in the game. There's no way
sure.
that you could upgrade that. And I think the other thing too is like, I'm all down for like inventory management stuff, but there's not an inventory management system in this game. It is you can either carry 6 items for the first like half of the game,
Yeah.
or you can carry 9 items for the rest of the game after
I
that.
think it's 12, but you're right. Like, it's like it never feels, because here's the thing. I think ultimately, I think the vibe of this game is wrong. This is not a survival horror game.
No.
That's ultimately, I think, the crux of the issue. This is a sci-fi action game, but they build systems as if it's a survival horror game, like very limited ammunition. In terms of like, some weapons are total dog shit until you put a lot of money into upgrading them.
Even
But
then, I don't think that you even really see any like dynamic change in your weapons or anything when you upgrade it.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
the alt fire is the only time that I've felt like a weapon was significantly stronger. The problem with alt fire is that you just lost half of your ammo, and because your inventory is so small, you can't keep enough ammunition to even use it, so it's a useless upgrade.
Yeah,
sure.
the thing off of that point that really bothered me through this game. One, I just did the shotgunny type gun and then the pistol type gun and all I did was, instead of trying to upgrade my guns, I just bought as much ammunition as I can. Like, screw that, just did that.
Mhm.
What's so annoying is that like the Resident Evil type of controls is just what they should have done. Because then this game would have ruled. It would have been smoother. There wasn't this weird mechanism for defending, and then the inventory, if I could just combine the stuff that is the same
Mm,
stuff into one slot, like, why does one shotgun shell or something will take up a whole slot and then the other one will have 24, and as you buy and just keep replenishing ammo, they just randomly assign them, and then I can't combine them, and then I just can't
Mm.
pick up other stuff. I just have random ammunition slots with non-equal numbers, and it's infuriating. It's just
I didn't.
infuriating.
That's funny. I
That's a
didn't have
really
that
good
issue,
point too. Yeah.
but I can see that really fucking up the vibe if I did have that issue. I also like, going back to the design. How in the year 2023, although to be fair, this was released in 2022, how are we not able to move and continue playing while listening to goddamn
Oh
audio
my God.
logs.
Thank fucking God someone said it.
I didn't listen to one of them because of that. I was like, I don't need to.
It's
Yeah,
like,
that was it was a struggle. I was like, I don't want to just sit here because the thing is like just sitting there is not always a good idea.
sure, yeah,
Unless
you're
you
still in
wipe out,
danger,
yeah, unless you wipe out everything and you just, which the game, and I think that's what's frustrating too, is the game doesn't know whether or not you should kill all of the enemies or none of the enemies. And it doesn't really give you, like, sure, there's a certain point in the game, and are we content with starting to spoil some shit
Yeah,
here?
we've been going for a bit.
Okay.
What were you gonna say, Mike?
I was gonna say, maybe before we spoil it, I'll just maybe I don't know if you guys do ratings, but I think this game is. I'm probably the highest one. I would give this game a 7, like
Out of
at the
10?
out of 10 at the peak of it. Because again, I haven't played Dead Space. If I played Dead Space, maybe it would be like a 5.5. But
Sure.
I'll keep it as a 7.
Yeah, this is solid for me. This is a solid 5 out of 10.
Mhm.
This just lands just so mediocre. Like it just
Yeah, I would actually fall right between you guys. I would say there's 6 with upside on this. Like if you love like a sci-fi story, if you love like really gory shit, you might find a little more like in this game. I love a sci-fi story. I don't care for gore. The sci-fi story they told didn't do much for me, which we'll get to in a minute with spoilers. And so that I think ultimately, like if I kind of go through different boxes, like gameplay, I feel like as a whole, the gameplay is fun, even though it eventually gets really boring. Like it becomes very rote, but the bones of it, I think, are good. Graphically, it looks great. Design wise, I think I think the acting is
Mhm.
mostly good. I think the writing at times suffers. But yeah, I would say like this is like a 6 for me. Like there's room for improvement. It's not a bad game. I wouldn't say it's a bad game by any means, but I think my expectations were just a little too high, even though you both had kind of put them in the basement.
Yeah, I mean, I think I like back to your point though. Like, I think the thing is here is like I had zero technical issues. I had none. I did not have a single glitch, a single texture pop in, a single stutter in the frame rate. Nothing.
I did at
Absolutely
the
no
beginning.
technical errors. I didn't. I had none. Well, I know
I don't think I did
when you
either.
started playing it, they hadn't released the patch yet. So like it
No.
made sense for you to have them. And supposed to, and after the patch, like if bugs all disappear, that's how that patch should work. But you look at games like Pokemon, or you look at games like Saints Row
Yeah.
or Gotham Knights, which got like very lukewarm receptions because of things like bugs and whatnot. Those games were fun. The problem is like halfway through this game, it just becomes like, okay, well, I've played the first half, and this is what the rest of the game is going to be.
Yeah.
And then you get to a point where you can start guessing, and like it's not even a guess at that point. You know exactly when they're going to try to scare you. You know exactly when an enemy's going to pop out. And so
Sure.
the thrill of being scared, which was what like I really think elevated the beginning of the game, even though I wasn't really enjoying a lot of the gameplay mechanics. Once the scares went away and it became very humdrum in terms of like I know what's going to happen around this next corner, and sure enough it does. It Once that was gone, the mystique was gone, the thrill was gone. It was like, all right, when the fuck is this game going to end? And
Yeah.
what they do at that point is ruin the game even worse. And I'm going to spoil the shit out of this one moment because this is the worst thing I've ever played through.
Do it,
Spoilers.
baby.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Big spoilers. They make
Earmuffs.
you do a mandatory hour and a half long, potentially 2 hours stealth section. And let me tell you, the stealth in this game is so broken. It is hilarious. You can literally walk into enemies while crouching and they will not notice that you're there.
Really? I didn't have that experience.
Okay, I
You
literally,
for the most part can. It's basically
if you attack in that moment, like everyone gets alerted and you're fucked because there's no way that you can get out of it. Like you're dead. Like, you can't kill all these enemies. But I had moments where I literally stood. I was like, I just want to test this. I don't even care where the fuck the checkpoint is. Like, I'm just curious if this is gonna happen. I literally walked into an area. There was like 8 enemies, and I crouched all the way into the middle of it and just sat there. And I got hit multiple times by enemies who just walked into me like I was a brick wall, and
Well,
then turned around and walked the opposite direction. I was like, you're fucking kidding me.
when you're not moving, they won't react. But if you're moving and they run into you, they
Oh,
will
yeah. But
become
that's the
live.
thing, though.
Mhm.
If you're just standing still and they run into you, you should still be attacked. I'm sorry.
Sure, but they do like the enemies are blind. So like for all they know, they're running into a wall.
I don't look. I here's the thing. I understand logically how that could make sense. It doesn't
Sure.
make sense when this is a video game.
Sure.
Because you have to, just on both sides, like both the player has to suspend their disbelief for certain things to work. But I've never been in a situation where the game developer did not suspend their own disbelief. Because then at that point, I'm like, okay, well, once it hits me and it doesn't do anything, I just walk past it.
Yeah.
And that's how I went through that whole area. And I was like, this is just boring.
I didn't have that exact same experience, but similarly, that segment is when it really felt like I was playing a video game. And well, like, oh, sure, this is a video game podcast. We come here to play video games, but like this is a very narrative heavy video game. This is a very like they want you to feel like you are this character whose name I've already forgotten in this world. And
yeah, what is the character's name?
Is it Jacob?
Jacob.
Shit, fuck if I know.
He looks like a Jacob.
Yeah,
but like
Kyle. He looks like a Kyle.
He does look like a Kyle. But yeah, like there are games in which I think it might behoove the player to be like recognizing like, oh, I'm playing a video game. But then I think there are games where like I think they don't want you to feel like you're playing a video game. They want you to feel like you were experiencing the story. And that's the vibe I got from the Callisto Protocol. By the end of not even by the end of the game, by the middle of the game, from the whole second half of the game, it's as if like the facade of the game was gone and I could just see through all the cracks of it. And like, so I didn't have that issue with that specific qualm you had, but like I could go down a list of a bunch of other ones, like, and it's things that just like broke the game for me, that it's like, well, I just don't feel like I'm having a good time anymore because I'm it's not even like about cheesing it. It's that like I'm breaking this game and they are giving me the tools to do so. And therefore there are no stakes. There is no stress. There is no horror in this game anymore.
Yes.
And you know what? I like the game. I think it subconsciously annoys you because I just thought of this. Throughout this whole experience, you're getting narrated to and talked to through your controller from this Australian guy who's also in the prison, and he just straight up lies to you about everything. Like you're almost out from the beginning of the game. You're gonna get out in 1 minute. You're gonna be like, no, just right through this room, blood, and then we're gonna be on this thing. And then that doesn't happen. Anybody just keeps doing that for every single thing, and you're just like, buddy, I know we're not done. And you just never, and it's just like, I know that this is just another BS thing to get to the next BS thing. And it's like 3 levels too far in each like type of level that you should be in. And it does too much of, again, it tries to be almost Resident Evil and The Last of Us, and it's neither of those at all. The game should be more linear, and it tries to be sometimes a little bit like it's total linear. You're going down linear, and then it just tries to, it's just like, wait, I'm confused. What happened? This Aussie guy told me to go somewhere. I don't really have any of this stuff to do anything. Now I'm like locked in this next spot. I got nothing. Like what? You just kind of get mad and you're like, I just want to be done. Just want to be done.
To add to that, like with the kind of where it's linear and then it kind of like stops being linear at times, that also really frustrated me that there was no map, because they make it seem at the beginning like, oh, this really is going to be like, I'm just going down a hallway this whole game. And then there are times when the path branches and you realize if you go down one way, the game will continue. If you go down the other way, it usually like loops you back around to go back to kind of like where you just were. And you'll get various resources down that pathway. But it became so frustrating playing the game, not knowing which way was the path I was supposed to go, because I'm the kind of player that I want to know which way is the path so that I can do the other path first, because I want to experience everything that you've spent 4 years building. I want to get all the story. I want to get all the collectibles. I want to get all the resources. But there were so many times because, and maybe this is by design because they wanted me to go play it again, but I think that's just a shitty business practice.
Okay. Hear me out.
Yeah.
Not worth even exploring. There's nothing worth exploring for this game because the inventory is so limited that more often than not, when you do go down one of those optional corridors you don't realize is optional, do you know what waits for you? Something you can't even put into your inventory. And what that thing is, you just sell it.
I think you got gypped, Cayman, because Patrick and I definitely had 12 slots in our inventory. We must have unlocked it sooner than you. You must have just had 6 the whole game and were just furious. Because I was furious of just having ammo everywhere in the 12, but I was still trying to pick stuff up like all the time.
No,
that was
I
the only
was trying
thing that
to-
I kind of
yeah.
liked.
I was trying to pick up shit all the time. It was just like, oh, guess what? I just have, because I was like, okay, well, the game is like, if you get hit, especially in the first half of the game, if you get hit once, you're like half health. I think you can get like a total of 4 total hits and you're dead, right? Maybe not
Right.
even 4, maybe
Something
3.
like that.
Yeah. So you only have 6 inventory slots. So it's almost mandatory, especially because your guns aren't strong enough to really do a ton of damage, because the game also doesn't really give you any hints on how you should play the game, which I think is
Sure.
another shitty thing, because like a game like Elden Ring, the whole thing is you have the freedom of choice and they give you tons of different ways to go about how you want to do it. This game is so narrative, or so linear, that like you don't really have a freedom in how you should play the game, but they don't really give you any hints outside of like the mandatory tutorial on how you can be stealthy. They don't really tell you how to really do anything else.
They give you fake hints.
I feel like I was getting tutorialed out the ass. Like I feel like I was getting pop-ups all the time.
You got tutorialed out the ass in the beginning, but the tutorials don't really tell you, like they tell you how to use like optional things you can do. But then, like, those things don't really work very well.
It doesn't do good because the controls suck.
Yeah. Sorry, I know Patrick has like a different opinion, but my thing was like, okay, I need to have a mandatory of 3 health kits in my thing. Well, guess what? That's half of my inventory.
Sure.
And so you're like, okay, because you have these enemies that spit at you, and there's literally almost no fucking way to dodge. You can't dodge them. They say you can dodge them.
They say you can, but you
tried it
can't.
out, and I did too, and you can't. So you have moments like that. So it's like, okay, well, you have to have 3 mandatory health kits. Well, then the rest of your shit's ammo because you need ammo. And so any of these optional things you pick up, which are like pristine energy converters or pristine batteries or shit, it's like, I don't have space for this crap.
I'm realizing, I think the error from striking distance, that because of the way that I was playing, it didn't affect me. But if you didn't play like me, then it would ruin your game like it did for you. Because I was so melee focused and I kind of mastered the dodging and meleeing, I only ever had like 1 health pack at a time, sometimes 2. And then I had a couple of the pull juices, whatever that stuff was. And then I had like 1 or 2 ammo. So I usually had like 1 or 2 open slots at all times. And then if there was a section where there was a lot of enemies and I used like the ammo that I had, then I was like, oh, well, now I have essentially like an empty inventory.
So,
but it's because I was very much like, I rarely used ammunition unless I was overwhelmed.
And so I tried to do that. But the problem is at a certain point in the game, though, is they just keep adding more and more enemies in.
Yeah.
And if you are in a combo, an enemy can still hit you and knocks you out of your combo, and then you get swarmed. So it's like, okay, so you need to try to figure out a way to lure one enemy to you, kill it, and then move to the next. And I guess maybe one of my biggest problems, and this could just be the way I played the game, was that I was playing it like I would have played a Resident Evil. And this game is not Resident Evil. This game is like, okay, we're going to give you everything that Resident Evil is, but we're not going to like let you actually play like that. Like you have to play it different, but it's Resident Evil the way that the game should be worked in every other aspect besides the actual gameplay part, which is like, no. this is a survival horror game. And it's like, all right, guys, like there's a crisis of conscience here, because if the way that the game needs to work, then you should have like 1-2 enemies. But there's moments in this game where it's like, we're going to dump 6, 8, we're going to give you waves of enemies. And it's just like, okay. So like I found out at a certain point, I was like, okay, about midway through the game, I'm like, shoot him in the knee, let him drop to the ground, and then you can come up and whack him in the head, and then you can like stomp on their head or whatever. And I was like, okay, once I could get that worked out, like then I'm able to kind of breeze through more of this shit. But ultimately at the end of the day, I'm like, this is boring. Well, that gameplay method is boring, and this does not compute with me.
I feel like, and I think this can be our segue into talking a little bit about the story. I feel like so often it's like they just didn't want to make a choice. It's like they wanted to kind of leave there are multiple ways, but like not in a clear way. And I feel like that happened with the story a lot. Like, I don't want to necessarily just start with the end. So maybe let's
do it.
Okay, sure. Let's start with the very end of the story for those of you who did play this game, or you just don't care. Even the final moment of this story, they like can't even make a decision. They immediately go back on what they said. So essentially, like they set up at the beginning of the game that Karen Fukuhara's character is like your enemy. She swarms your ship. She causes you to crash, all this stuff. And then eventually you guys team up. Saw it coming from a mile away, whatever. End of the game, you let her get away. You put her in this, whatever you call it, to like, it's a pod. To get off. Yep. Yeah, to get off the planet. And cuts to her, and she's like doing a voiceover. She's like, Jacob sacrificed himself, but gave me the evidence I need to take down the bad guys. And then it cuts to Jacob, and he's alive. And then this doctor that you've been spending a lot of the time with is like, shows up, and it's like, so wait, is he dead? Is he not dead? It's like they immediately they go back on their narrative bullshit.
Hold on. Yeah. No, that doctor that you just said you spent a lot of time with is a false statement. You spend a cumulative 45 minutes of a 9-hour game with her.
Sure. I guess you spent a lot of time with her in the end, like the last, like,
well, she's most of
those like, 45 minutes are at the end of the game.
She's just, this is the thing that I had such a big issue with story-wise with this, is the last 45 minutes, you have this doctor chatting your ear off the whole time, and literally exposition dumps the entire plot in the last 45 minutes.
Essentially, yeah.
Yep. And we're not even talking about the boss fight at the end.
If I could,
it was just terrible.
If I could explain it, I think pretty well. So catch me where I get wrong.
Great.
You are Josh Duhamel, whatever his name is. You are this
Jacob.
Cool Jacob, sorry.
Kyle.
This cool pilot guy.
Kyle Motocross.
Precisely. Dropping off some cool, like, illegal stuff or whatever in this weird bandity type of planet. It's all cold.
Well, he doesn't think it's illegal. He thinks it's medical supplies.
Exactly. And then he crashes, and lo and behold, that the planet is just a prison hold. And they go, "Yeah, we don't give a shit who you are. Like, you're the pilot. Sure, you're going in the prison." Goes in the prison.
Cool premise.
Cool premise. I'm hooked. Then the whole game is just what you think, right? You are trying to get out of this prison. It just kind of all looks the same in different areas. There's tons of blood. They don't explain anything of the story. And then 10 hours later, this lady just goes in a cutscene and goes, "Yeah, all that Resident Evil story, bitch. We were just making up some crazy shit and just fucked over all these people, and all those things you were fighting were actually these things that we made, and it's the prisoner, and get off of the planet and keep the capsule."
That we're trying to speed
That's the
up
whole thing.
Human evolution, but we failed in the process. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue to do this process until we find someone who this evolution sticks
this
with.
Alpha male. Did either of you, when you were walking around, especially the latter like third, so like the final third of the game, did either of you happen to start coming across, I forget what they were called, there's like the Circle or something, this like Illuminati type?
Yeah, there's 2 rooms that secret areas you can find.
I found one of the 2. I didn't find this. Find the second one.
There's 2 rooms, and they give you essentially, like, they set up and give you a little hint that, like, there is a universe-wide Illuminati.
It's so
speeding
boring.
up human evolution. It is the most unoriginal shit. Then at the end, you have Sam Witwer, who is like essentially your antagonist, who is the chief security guard. He is what they believe is going to be the Alpha, right? So in your last boss fight, you find out the warden, who is part of this Illuminati, is off planet. And then you have to fight the alpha. And essentially the guy's just like, I guess whoever is the one who makes it out alive is the real alpha. And it's like, no, that doesn't work because Josh Duhamel is not infected.
Yeah.
So he's not an alpha.
He's not Mr. X.
Unless that's a big reveal for game 2, because they leave you on a cliffhanger that like he's going to, like, Josh Duhamel's character, who is set up to die, does not die, obviously. Then you get like this big, oh no,
maybe you can
cliffhanger.
escape. What?
Yeah. And then you get attacked by Sam Witwer again. Okay, but either way, the final boss fight. This is
the
my
guy
problem.
you just killed attacks you.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
This is the final boss fight. I think this is where this is a culmination of like all of the bad decisions this game has made. This final boss fight essentially tells you everything that you've learned the last 10 hours means nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, like, the whole game is like, you really need to melee. But this enemy type, you can only shoot. You can't melee it. There's no ability to melee this enemy. So if you don't go into this fight full of ammunition, there's not enough ammunition, and picking up ammunition and reloading takes so long that by the time it took me 6 attempts to kill it on easy mode, because I was like, I just cannot get my brain around how this is supposed to work.
Yeah, you actually saved me with the final boss, because you had told me a few hours before, don't waste your credits on the alternate fire for any of your guns. So it was like,
Yes.
great. That just saved me 20,000 credits. So my pistol was fully upgraded, my stun baton was fully upgraded, and I had all these extra credits. So I was like, okay, like right before the final fight, I'm like, I have like 20,000 credits. I might as well build this machine gun, build this other like Magnum shotgun, like rocket launcher, whatever. So I went into the final fight loaded to the fucking nines, because I had all this extra money. And so then I had all this ammunition. So this gun that I just unlocked, this machine gun, I just loaded like 3 rounds into him and killed him. It was like the easiest boss fight in a video game for me. And so that's kudos to Cayman for that.
I went into it with almost no ammunition because I didn't realize that was the end of the fucking game. So it was a miserable experience.
I can tell.
And it just,
I don't know.
And it was just like it was the shit icing on a shit cake.
Sure.
When you end a game and you're like, I literally am struggling, not because I'm bad at this game. I'm struggling because no one gave me an indication this game was about to end. I needed to have bukus of ammunition.
John, I feel the ratings drop in y'all's head as you discuss the plot.
I'm down
I think
to
I'm
a
a 6.
3.
I'm a 6 now. Yeah, it's a 6.
I'm sticking with 5 because I do think that, like, and I think it's very important to say this, like, there's a lot that this game does thematically in the term of its atmosphere, and it is the most AAA shit you'll ever see.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know what went wrong.
Yeah, it's such a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I think if they go back to the drawing board and they're like, okay, let's take the criticism, let's not get disheartened, and let's build off of this. There is a game here that's really good. This game isn't.
Yeah. My last thing on it, and then if you guys have any closing thoughts, and then we can move on. The protagonist of this game should have been Karen Fukuhara's character.
Yes.
Because I thought Josh Duhamel's character was the most vanilla ass fucking.
Oh my god.
Vanilla milkshake.
Kyle Motocross
was the most boring ass character. I wanted to learn more about her character, and we got some cool shit from her toward the end of the game. And so even if, of course, they didn't make her the protagonist, she was in this game 1/10 of the amount she should have been, because she was like the only interesting part of this game. So it's a shame that she wasn't in more of it. And I hope if they get a sequel, which, looking at the sales numbers from last month, not sure that that's going to happen, because pulling from IGN last week, it was outsold by games that were released 7, 10, 12 years ago in its first month. So I don't know. This might not bode well for the game, but I thought ultimately, if this game was from her perspective, maybe it could have been saved a little bit, because the character at least would have been interesting. But Jacob was just a boring ass character. But what are y'all's final thoughts?
Yeah, final thoughts here. I mean, I love Josh Duhamel as an actor, and I actually did like him a lot. It's just that Kimiko is just so hot in the streets right now. She's just such a badass, and I just
Yeah.
wanted more of her, and I just wish we had it. Honestly, when this game becomes $15-20, we can call it the Callisto booty call. It's a cheap date. That's when you should get it.
Yeah, I can't disagree with anything Mike said. Literally, if this game is $20 or less, pick it up. It's not like you're gonna. I mean, you're probably not gonna have a great time with it, but like, you're probably not even really gonna have a good time with it. But like, if it's $20, like, it's worth at least the first 4 hours because you'll get the shit scared out of you several times, and it's really cool. And then the game sucks. So like, if it's $20, who fucking cares at that point? That's like, honestly, $20 is like going to fucking Wendy's right now and getting a Baconator.
4 for
So
4,
like,
baby.
yeah, oh, fair. So like, I would say, I think for my closing thoughts, it's like, look, this is a definite miss opportunity, but like, there could be something if they do get a sequel, which I don't know if they ever will, but like, there is a game here that could be really good, and it's just a bummer. I think that's the biggest thing. It's just a bummer.
It's such a catch-22 because I'm like, I want a sequel, but if it's not going to sell, it's not going to get a sequel.
Yeah.
I don't know what Striking Distance would do next. I don't know if they'd start over or if they would just hope that they can make a lot of money back on the sequel. But
can I just point out that I think this is the first time I've played a game, or at least the first time for at least 2022, because I've technically played it in 2022. This is the first time that I've played a game that scored poorly that I absolutely agree got the correct score.
lately, at least, at the very least.
Yeah, which is like shocking for me because normally I go into like shitty reviewed games and I'm like, yeah, there's fun to be had here. I enjoyed myself. This is one of the only times I'm like, yeah, this was fucking spot on.
They got it right.
Bummer.
Well, if you've played the Callisto Protocol, let us know what you thought. Obviously, we just spent like 35 minutes talking a bunch of shit about it.
Play it. Yeah.
But if you have played it, if you have a differing opinion, or if you have the same opinion, let us know. Send us a comment, send us an email, mail@spotlightgames.net. You can DM us. You can drop it on the YouTube comments, whatever you want to do. Let us know. Come to the chat like John is in the chat right now. Let us know. But that's all we have to say about the Callisto Protocol. Buyer beware, I guess. But hey, you're your own person, so make your own choices. Boys, we're about an hour in. Do you think we could speed through the year 2023 and talk about what we're excited and not excited about?
Sounds great. Let's do this shit.
Fuck yeah. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go through. I've compiled a list from Game Informer, and I've gotten rid of a lot of the stuff on the list, and I'll probably even skip a lot on the list now because of the time. But I'm going to say the name of a game, and then let's talk about if we want to play it or not, and we can go as in depth as we want, game by game until we run out of time. So this week, first game on the list, we talked about it an hour ago. The Dead Space remake coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC this Friday, tomorrow, as of release on the podcast services and YouTube, January 27th. I know this. I'm definitely buying this. Even if the reviews aren't great, like if the reviews are just like, oh, it's Dead Space again. I haven't played Dead Space in over a decade, so I would love to play Dead Space again.
Right.
But what about you guys?
100%. I'm playing this game. I'm honestly a little bit terrified because Callisto Protocol was like, oof, that was not good. And I'm a little terrified that this game might not be good anymore. But hey, you know what? Fuck it. Who cares? Let's do it. I'm in.
Who cares?
100% in.
Mike,
let's go.
Yeah, I've never played it. I say came in. You buy the disc version this time and then pass it to me in like a month.
All right. Sounds good to me.
Good deal. Next up, coming January 31st, SpongeBob SquarePants, The Cosmic Shake. Who's in?
Fucking great name. I'm an adult.
Yeah, Cosmic Rake. See you later.
Boom. Got him. In February. That's not a game I'm going to play. What a great name. The Cosmic Shake.
I love the name.
February, first big game of February. It's a controversial one. Hogwarts Legacy coming to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on February 10th. I want to say, obviously, we all know the discourse about this game, the J.K. Rowling bullshit. I think I am of the mind, and I'm interested to hear what you guys think. And this could be a whole nother conversation. So if it feels like we're going to go along with it, let's put a pin in it and come back to it. But I feel like Diablo 4 should be getting as much of a hey, maybe you shouldn't play this game as Hogwarts Legacy is because of all the shit with Bobby Kotick and Activision Blizzard. It's weird to me that everyone's like, oh, it's another Diablo, let's fucking go, when the guy at the top is a fucking sexual predator. But meanwhile, everyone's like, let's still play Hogwarts Legacy. You know, there are a lot of people that aren't going to play Hogwarts Legacy, but I don't know. What do you think? Do you think I'm off base?
I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I don't feel like this is probably the best situation to try to discuss them because this could go off rails. But I definitely think that the discourse around this is very different because though I do think that like a lot of when people attach Bobby Kotick's name to things, they attach it to Call of Duty. And the audience for Call of Duty is very different than the audience for Hogwarts Legacy. A lot of the LGBTQ plus community grew up on Harry Potter because that character being locked away in a closet, this shit writes itself, right? That makes sense. So for those people, for her to come out to be an actual huge piece of shit that is a transphobe and come to find out a terrible person, she's alienating her bulk of her audience. So I think the visceral outcry for that is more because her core audience are people who are supportive of that community.
Makes sense.
Whereas I do think that like because Bobby Kotick, yes, sure, Blizzard in Blizzard's portion doing Diablo, that's very different. But I think like a lot of people just attach Kotick to Call of Duty, and let's be honest, categorically speaking, Call of Duty is more of a game that you would technically see a lot of dude bros playing. I know that that's very reductive to say.
No, you're right though.
So, but I think that that's probably why, because I've seen this argument come up, and I'm like, I just feel like we're missing the point on who this game is for.
Sure.
And or like the people who are going to be the ones playing it, the nerd community, like the geek community, right, are more often than not very supportive of the LGBTQ community. Whereas I think that's probably the opposite for Call of Duty, where those guys are like, right. I don't really care if he sexually harassed a bunch of people.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
On my head.
It's just a thought that came to me recently that like how loud people are being about not that I'm like super jazzed about this game by any means. I just thought maybe there might have been a little bit of a double standard, but I think you're right that I think that it's different. It's even though I think it's fair to compare fruit, it's apples and oranges.
And I do. Case. And here's the thing too is, and I'm so torn on this situation. I'm sorry. I feel like I keep cutting Mike off. I'm so torn on this situation because the developers behind the game have like gone out of their way to try to be like, guys, we are inclusive. Like, we love you. We want you to be everyone to be able to enjoy the game. They've included the ability to actually have trans characters in the game. And that's tough when we're spitting in the face of the developers because the person who created the story that this game is not really based on, but like the universe, I suppose, is based on. Like, because of her, we're demonizing and damning people who've put a lot of time and energy in this, and that's tough spot to be in.
It's
messy. And I don't know what to say in terms of like, will I play it? Maybe eventually. But like, I just don't know, and this is a tough one for me.
Yeah. Well, I'll go ahead and say it. I'm going to play this game. I'm probably going to play both those games, and for
both
me,
those games. What's the other game?
You said Diablo.
Sure.
So I'm gonna play both those games. For me, not everybody can kind of think in this type of headspace, but I don't let just bad people ruin my enjoyment, no matter where it is in their situation. I feel like in most things in life, for this. I'd be a hypocrite if I took certain stances in different areas, and I'm glad that other people do, but I stay a little bit ignorant of news because of this type of things, because I don't want somebody kind of spoiling something that has brought myself and a lot of people just joy for so long. I'm still going to watch the NFL. I saw what, certain players have done in the past. I have an iPhone. A lot of bad things come from that. I wear certain clothes. They probably come from bad areas or things. Once you just kind of start doing that snowball thing, it's really tough to kind of justify most things you do. So I kind of look at it on eventually what goes around comes around. Those bad people will get their due flowers in the wrong way. They'll get their deathbed flowers or what have you. So I'm not going to let, this broad ruin Hogwarts Legacy for me. Here, I'll drop her down a peg on that. I'm not going to let her ruin Hogwarts for me because it's really great. And the world is ours now and not hers, in my opinion.
Okay. I actually kind of appreciate everything you just said.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know that we needed broad, but hey.
I mean, there's worse words we could use for her.
There are. You're right.
But I do like the way that you said that, like, the universe of Harry Potter is not hers anymore. It's
Oh,
millions
no.
of people whose lives have been better because of it. And, there's good that can come from shitty people.
Yeah.
And
It's complicated, that's for sure.
that
Because
is
complicated.
very true.
she's still making a fuck ton of money off of it. But
Yeah.
anyway, I thought I was going to open up a can of worms, and I did. But hey, maybe
Sorry,
at some
yeah,
point.
went off
No.
rails there, so.
No. I think it's worth discussing, and I'm sure we will have a more thorough conversation at some point when we have a little bit more time. Because I think it's something that deserves more time.
It'll be great if it's bad. Oh man, this podcast will just sparklers everywhere, just like those little noises that go.
Yeah,
like having a party.
Bring out the vuvuzelas. Let's see. Let's skip a few of these.
No. You
Cayman.
better not skip this one game coming out on February 14th called Wanted: Dead. What is that name?
So
What is
I
this
actually left
game?
this in here because it looks like a Cayman-esque Cayman game.
I mean, it sounds like a Cayman-esque Cayman game, but I don't want to. I mean, it's fine. What is that name though?
Your homework for next week is to look into Wanted Dead and
All right.
let us know. But
On it.
from the little bit that I've seen about it, might be up your alley.
Dig it.
Skipping down to another game that might be up your alley, Cayman. February 21st, we're getting Like a Dragon Ishin
Fuck
coming
yes.
to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. I forget.
gonna-
Is this the one that's set in the past?
Yes, this game looks stupid as shit in terms of like, okay, let me say stupid as shit. This game looks stupid as shit in the same vein that like Yakuza just is. It's insane. It is the most wacky, fucking crazy nonsense. I am head over heels ready for this shit.
Hell
I
yeah.
cannot wait. I would be shocked if this is not my game of the year at the end of this.
Let's go. What about next day? We're getting PSVR 2. Are any of us going to go into the VR world this year?
Do you
I'm
think
not.
I have that money, bud?
No.
I'd like to at some point,
Not
but I need
necessarily.
a friend who has it. I'm not gonna buy it.
No.
Yeah, I got burned too hard on VR1. I spent $400 and I used it like a handful of times. So, and this one's more expensive, but later that week, a game that I think Cayman's probably excited for, Octopath Traveler 2. I am excited for it too. I just don't think it's going to be a game I play day one.
Yeah, that's gonna be. Yeah, I mean, with Like a Dragon Ishin coming out, like, I'm sorry, Octopath, you're getting bumped for probably a couple months. But yeah, I'm very excited about that too.
Are you a JRPG guy, Mike? I don't think you are.
I always try them, and I like the playing of it. I do not like all of the talking and just me having to just click A or B or whatever it is just a million times to get through it. I sometimes just the dialogue just pulls me out, but I usually always kind of like the playing, but I can't get past a few hours.
Cool. Any Destiny players on the board today?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of meh.
You used to be Destiny guy.
I
right?
love
Same.
Destiny. I don't know, man. Like, it's just kind of, it's the last time I got into Destiny, I was like, I have no fucking idea what any of this is anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it is so convoluted. Like, you really had to have stuck with it to understand what anything is anymore. So it's going to be probably a pass for me.
Okay. Yeah, that's coming February 28th on everything. It even says Stadia. Don't think so. Don't think so, Destiny.
Not today, Jesus.
And we'll get to Jesus. March 3rd, we got Wolong Fallen Dynasty. This is, if I'm not mistaken, this is a game. Yeah. This is the same folks who did Neo and Neo 2, Team Ninja. This is a new game from them set in like a ancient China type setting. So very like Dark Souls-y new IP. Don't know that this will be one that I would play day one. I might play it, but that's one that I'm going to need reviews on.
Is
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is this the one where like you're a monkey warrior? That's like the MMO one?
No, that comes out. I don't know if that even has a release date. I can't remember the name.
Okay.
But yeah, no, this is look, fool me once with Neo.
Yeah.
Fool me twice with Neo 2.
Fool can't
Not doing
fool
this shit.
again.
Not
Can't
doing this shit
you
again.
fool me? He can't fool me again. Let's jump ahead a couple. So this is one that might feature a character we talked a lot about earlier today. Monster Energy Supercross 6.
God,
March
Kyle
9th.
Motocross is.
You think Kyle Motocross is going to make a? Oh, fuck me. No, the real game in March that I am excited for. There's two big hitters in March for me. The first one is Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Come to Daddy.
3
Coming to
big
PS5,
hitters.
Xbox Series X, and S and PC, March 17th. Just a few days after the Ides of March, a week after Mario Day, Boston Mike. I'm excited for this. And I hope by the end of you finishing Fallen Order that you will be too.
It comes out on St. Patrick's Day.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Wow.
I didn't even mention that, and I'm an Irish citizen.
This is a tough one for me because honestly, I probably will sit on Jedi Survivor because the next week is Resident Evil 4 Remake coming out on March 24th.
So freaking stoked about Resident Evil 4. This is probably, I would say, if I were to shortlist it right now for the pod, top 5 for me. Most of them we've not talked about yet. Resident Evil 4 is absolutely in the top 5. Jedi Survivor might be in the top 5, but it's not out the gate. I need to consider my options first. But Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 2, I've talked about several times. One of my favorite, it was, I think, my game of the year of 2019. And same team going to Resident Evil 4. Can't fucking wait. Have you played Resident Evil 4, Mike?
No. So I was going to say, I'm very lucky that I am 29 years old. And for some reason, I'm getting 2 of the biggest games for when I should have played them when I was probably like 18 years old. So I just waited it out, got for a better system. And now I get to play them in such better graphics, having a way better time. And yeah, I'm super excited. Like literally
What's
2 of my biggest games are Dead Space and Resident Evil 4.
Dead Space. Okay, I was like, wait, what's the other one? But Dead Space. Makes sense. Yeah, I can't fucking wait. But I tell you what, Cayman. 4 days later, Crime Boss Rock A City.
I'm gonna tell you, sleeper hit of the year is gonna be Crime Boss Rock A City. But you know what also could be? Curse of the Sea Rats.
Let's go. April 6th. Let's click on this real quick. Let's see what Curse of the Sea Rats is. From Patoon's studio, a studio I've never heard of. Yeah, I don't know what Curse of the Sea Rats is, but put it in my top 5.
I'm like listening to Mike and I looked down at the doc and I'm like, what the fuck is Curse? And I'm over here in tears, like trying not to laugh.
That was victim to the turn of the page, and I missed that one. I would have deleted that otherwise. But Crime Boss Rock A City, I know, what a great name. But Crime Boss Rock A City, for those uninitiated, I mean, it is a star-studded cast. We got Michael Madsen, we got Michael Rooker, we got Chuck Norris, and there are like 15 other names. Vanilla Ice is in it. Yes, thank you. It's going to be trash cinema as a video game.
Yes, 100% yes.
Yeah. Jumping to April, I think the only thing that I'm excited about in April is Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores, the DLC for Forbidden West. Mike, you weren't huge on Horizon, were you?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
I think it's going to be a game that I play again. Whatever you guys are doing right now, think about what you did 3 years ago. That's what I'm probably doing right now. I'm just I'm playing with Legos. You guys are building cars, but I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
I'm just in my childhood.
Okay,
sure.
Hold on.
Hold the door.
I have to tell you how they're pitching this game called Curse of the Sea Rats.
Yeah, give it to us.
Curse of the Sea Rats is an epic hand-drawn Ratoidvania starring a group of heroes transformed into rats by a pirate witch. The character names are Douglas, Buffalo, Akane, and Busa.
Douglas. All these names are crazy, and Douglas the rat is their leader.
Honestly, the game's fucking gorgeous. Like it is
straight up.
Like this might actually be a sleeper hit. I'm not even lying.
Douglas and Buffalo the Sea Rats.
Local 4-player co-op.
Wow.
Just saying, guys.
All right.
Don't sleep on Curse of the Sea Rats, because
this is fate intervening. That I would have deleted this, but I missed it and I didn't. And now it's my most anticipated game for 2023.
Good. At least my most anticipated name of 2023.
Tag yourself. I'm Douglas. Dead Island 2 is also coming in April. I'm painfully curious about this game. I just want to see if it's total shit.
Can we just say 2023 is going to be the year of trash video games?
It really might be. We got Dead Island 2, we got Rockay City, we got another WWE game, and we got Curse of the fucking Sea Rats.
Yeah, boy.
Let's go. Definitely in my top 5, jumping ahead to May. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Coming to Switch May 12th. I can't wait. I hope we get this date. I think we should be getting a Zelda focused direct in February, I would bet.
Yeah, 100%.
If we don't, I might be worried that maybe it's pushed back a month or two. But
yeah, that's fair.
Isn't it? I thought it's not Zelda. I thought it was Legend of Zelda.
I mean, you would know. You're from Boston. Zelda, historically a Bostonian, I believe.
Yes.
Another game in May that I'm a bit worried about. This will be a wait and see for me. Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. But I'm curious if either of you are in on this.
Pass.
Yeah. No, the fact that it's kind of leaked that this might be a games as a service, as of right now, that's a pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jump into June, and then we got just everything to be announced in terms of dates. So there are last certain dates so far for June. We got Street Fighter 6 on June 2nd. Mike, are you a fighting guy? You like to fight?
No.
Dude, when this guy
I was more of a Mortal Kombat type of guy.
Get 2 beers in this bud, and he will wrestle anybody. I can promise you that. I've seen it in real time quite often, honestly.
I'm Edward 40 Hands, but I just don't unduct tape myself, and I just go crazy.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I'll remember that. Diablo 4, we touched a little bit on earlier. Mike, you said that you're going to play it. Came in. You're a big Diablo boy. Is this on your radar?
Yeah, no, and this, once again, this is kind of this I think is even harder than Hogwarts Legacy, where I'm like, it just sucks. Can we just fire Bobby Kotick, please? Please fire him. I don't even care how. Just fire him.
It'll happen. Just wait.
Here's my question.
Yeah.
Do we think it's a coincidence that it's coming out 78 years after D-Day?
Maybe.
It's on the 78th anniversary of storming the beaches of Normandy, Cayman.
I like it.
Just saying. If you sheeple would wake up, you would see that something's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Something's happening here. That's all I'm going to say. Later that month, June 22nd, Final Fantasy 16.
Let's go, baby.
I'm actually pretty excited about this.
Dude, this game looks dope as shit.
It looks really fucking cool. I'm excited. Are you well, I guess, earlier I'd asked about JRPGs. The new Final Fantasy games aren't super JRPG, but I assume you're not big on Final Fantasy, Mike.
I don't know what the hell's going on in Final Fantasy. I downloaded 7 the other day. I downloaded 7 and I was like, what the hell are all these fucking robots doing in here? I was like, I thought I was in like a mythic land and shit, and this guy's got a gun next to me and a robot eye. I was like, this is whack.
He's got a gun as an arm.
Yeah, I downloaded another one and I was like, oh, this seems more like it. And it was just old. And I was like, next. And then I downloaded another one and we were just rockers in a car and it was an MMO. And I was like, I have no fucking clue what this series is. I don't think anybody knows.
Okay.
But everybody else is in on
Can I
the
give you I'm going to give you a brief crash course on Final Fantasy. Every game is a new game.
Well, I figured that out, dipstick.
Unless the game is the game and then they just keep adding pluses to it.
Yeah.
Or they just say some random shit like this is Final Fantasy 13-3.
I'm going to be honest. I own Final Fantasy A Realm Reborn. I have it on my PS4. That game never got off the downloaded page. It is, your Wi-Fi, you must be up with God to play that game because nothing loaded.
That's probably fair.
My personal favorite is Final Fantasy X-2 or X-2 when you play as a girl with a monkey tail and all of a sudden they just bring out all these new characters.
There's been a lot of porn based off that one game.
Yeah, there has.
Yeah.
R/that
all of the porn.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
Okay, so that's it for the dated games. The games with dates, not the old games being dated. So the rest of these are to be announced, to be dated. We
Maybe.
already got one in the chat, John. Hollow Knight Silksong TBD launch date. We're going to get to that one, but that is definitely one that it is on our radar for sure. To start with, we're just going in alphabetical order. Alan Wake 2. Don't expect this to come this year, but I am pumped for the next Alan Wake. That's for sure. Let's see. And you guys are looking at the same list. So if there's one as I go through that you want to talk about, let's talk about it. But next one I would think is Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon.
Dope.
Another one that I don't expect to come out this year, but if it does, I'm interested to see what a new one looks like. But I feel like this will be very, very, for obvious reasons, very, very different from what we've gotten from Software in quite some time. So
yeah, 100%.
We'll see. Another one, Assassin's Creed Mirage. I've on the record saying I'm pretty excited about this one because we haven't gotten a small Assassin's Creed in a while. And this one I do think we'll get this year. But Mike, are you an Assassin's Creed guy?
I absolutely love the first one. The second one's really good too. And then once again, I was like, I thought that we were assassins in the Holy Land. Now there's a Viking and like where's his hood and stuff like that. So I got lost in the sauce with those numbers.
I mean, did you what about when you realized that the game is actually taking place in the present day? How did that fare for you?
Yeah, I kind of was like, okay, that's cool. When can I go kill somebody again? Because
sure,
like I X'd through that stuff as quick as I could.
Yeah. Cash Crow in the chat. Too late. No, sir. You are not too late. We are going through right now the games yet to be announced with a date for this year, talking about whether or not we're excited about it. So we're going to be wrapping up here in the next like 15 minutes probably, but you are not too late. Thanks for joining. Next up on the list, this is, I think I would venture to guess that this is Cayman's most anticipated game of the next 5 to 10 years, and that is Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, made by the studio behind The Division and The Division 2.
Can't wait.
You.
Cayman has left the studio.
Go fuck yourself.
We also got Baldur's Gate 3. I think, is this a game, Mikey? Is this one that's on your radar?
So yes and no, because unfortunately it says PC only. And I do not have a PC. Maybe this is the reason why I get it. But Baldur's Gate has a special place in my heart playing PlayStation 2. Baldur's Gate was one of my favorite games out there. It's such a good co-op game with your buddies. I hope that at some time in the near future gets its way over to PlayStation 5, and then I'm all over it.
I bet Baldur's Gate will come to console. But it might be a while, but I bet it'll come to console. Next up, to go back to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. They've said this is coming in winter.
The fuck is this?
So this is like, so you didn't finish Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I didn't even get out. I didn't even put on my shoes for Final Fantasy VII.
Sure.
Well, I was in tutorial, and I was
so
like,
that game, the remake is only like the first disc or the first disc and some change. Cayman, correct me if I'm wrong. But so this is part 2 of a planned trilogy of the Final Fantasy.
This game's not coming out this year.
I don't think so either.
Don't you just think they are just, I don't know, ripping you off and bamboozling you into buying the games they already made? 3 different games.
Yeah, spending $210 worth of a game for across 3 games. Yes, I think so.
All right.
This next one, I am shocked by. I am in a state because apparently there's a new game releasing for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Garbage Pail Kids, Mad Mike, and the Quest for Stale Gum.
I'm sorry, did you say Mad Boston Mike?
I did. He's got a game about him from the perspective of the Garbage Pail Kids.
Fuck yeah,
Did you guys know there's an NES game coming out in the year 2023?
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Oh, cool. I didn't, and neither of the audience came in.
Beautiful shit, though.
Unbelievable. Cannot believe my eyes that on this list there's an NES game. The next one, this is a game I don't know a lot about, other than I have heard from a lot of people that this is supposed to be like the next big indie of the year. That's Gunbrella. Have either of you heard of Gunbrella?
Nope.
Under my Gunbrella.
Ella, Yeah, that's good. That's good. I bet no one has made that connection, Mike. I think we're onto something. I think we started a little band. We started a little YouTube channel where we do songs based on game names.
Yep, and then somebody has to get out of the band. Obviously, it's Cayman. He goes on the path. Me and you go on a duo. We go across nation. We're doing really well. Cayman's doing bad. He doesn't understand. He's like, why did I leave that podcast? I was in a band.
They make a movie about us. Timothy Chalamet, Chris Pratt. Let's go. Next up, John had mentioned this one earlier. Hollow Knight Silk Song. I am excited about this one, although I've never finished the original Hollow Knight.
Sure.
That's all we got.
I want to talk about the next game on the list that John won't touch because he's a heathen.
I am Jesus Christ coming to PC.
No, I am Jesus Christ.
No. I am
Jesus Christ. Yeah, can you believe it?
I'm down with JC. You know me. I think this is going to be a super fun game.
What do you expect the gameplay style of I Am Jesus Christ to be?
I'm hoping it's like mission, like you have like a log list and it's like, open world, and you can be like
open world in Jerusalem.
Yeah, go turn water into wine at the orphanage, or go walk across the river to save the goats, or
go the classic story.
Yeah, and then how you heal yourself is you go sacrifice yourself, and you have to go pin yourself, and then you're like, then you're good.
Honestly,
and you get up the next day.
You know what I think that this is going to be? I feel like this game is going to be just like a PC game that came out in June of last year called I'm Going to Die If I Don't Eat Sushi. And if you don't know what that is, then I highly recommend looking it up. It is the funniest shit I've ever seen.
I mean, did Jesus Christ ever eat sushi? That's the question. Coming, I said as if we had a date, but we don't. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. The game came in.
Let's do this shit, bro.
Let's do this shit, bro. What else? So this is another one that is top 5 for me. Marvel Spider-Man 2. Hope we get it.
Oh, hold on. You just skipped over Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, which is part of the Yakuza series, and that game is also not going to come out this year. But everyone should be excited. So,
what is the difference between Ishin and the man who erased his name? Do you know?
Okay, so this is kind of an interesting one. So, Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, follows Kiryu, who is like the main protagonist of the Yakuza series, up to Like a Dragon.
I feel like this is going to be the next 10 minutes.
And yeah, I'm done after that. All I'm going to say is that like essentially this is like it's going to be like a hybrid between like normal Yakuza and Like a Dragon, and it brings Kiryu back, and it's going to be, I think it's going to like bridge the gap between Like a Dragon and Like a Dragon 8.
Mike, I cannot believe that Kiryu is coming back, but I can't fucking wait for Like a Dragon.
You know what? That's it. I'm gonna just exit out of
can't
this
fucking
thing.
wait.
You guys can do the rest of this episode.
I've been saying it to my old lady for years. Where's this fucking Like a Dragon 2? And we're finally gonna get it.
There he goes. All right, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 coming to PlayStation 5. Very excited about this. I know Cayman is, even though he left. And if he comes back, Mike, I'm booting him. Let's see. Jumping down. Boring. You don't have an Xbox, do you, Mike?
I do not.
The reason I was asking, Redfall is another big game coming this year. But
I do want to play that game. I think, you know what? I might go to my olden days and just head up into a Walmart and just start playing on my own.
We have an interloper with the podcast trying to boot me out of my own shit.
I just almost ran that podcast. That was almost. Here's the thing. This almost became my podcast for a second.
Here's the thing. I can't kick Cayman from the studio because he's signed in as me. He's muted too, so we can't hear his bullshit grin and laugh. This fucking guy. Another one hopefully coming later this year is Starfield to Xbox, which, if you listen to our episode a few weeks ago, our highlights, or not our highlights, our what do you call them? Predictions of this year. I think Starfield's going to be a hit. Let's see. We'll see. Jerry is out on that one.
I think that game is gonna suck. I like, I don't know. I've just watched stuff in the game, and I'm like, what am I doing?
You very well could be right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just choosing optimism.
I would like for it to be so good that I have to buy an Xbox And if it doesn't do that to me, then I will unequivocally stake my flag in the ground and say, suck.
Okay. Suckbox.
Mhm.
Last one that we're going to talk about for this, unless one of you guys want to fucking talk about the Plucky Squire, The
Bro.
Wolf Among Us 2.
I'm sorry, bro. The Plucky
No, the Plucky
Squire
Squire looks dope as shit, actually.
is literally gonna be probably nominated for Game of the Year. Not
looks
even
good.
kidding. Yeah.
It looks good.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre though. Just saying.
The Plucky Squire, that's not Joseph Farrow or whatever, right?
I have no clue.
Joseph, what's his name?
Oh, Joseph
Ferris?
Ferrer? The rural juror?
No,
that
not
is
the rural juror. No.
Not the rural juror. No. Plucky Squire. I don't remember who is doing it, but that game it looks incredible. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Last one that I'm excited about, The Wolf Among Us 2. This is a game that I loved the original. I know you did too, Cayman, from OG Telltale. That's my worry though, is that this is a whole new team. There's probably some talent from the original game, but I don't know how much of it's there. And old Big B Wolf back at it like a bad habit. Maybe it's gonna suck because it's a new team, but I'm again, Mike, I'm choosing optimism. You probably didn't play The Wolf Among Us 1, did you, Mike?
No.
Great. Well, that's our show, folks.
Dude, this show sucked.
Man.
This episode was trash.
Whoa. This might have been the best episode I've ever done.
Well, I think you've only been on 2 of them, and one of them was a fucking trial of Cayman. This is fun. We ran a little long on Callisto, so we had to kind of speed through talking about games like I Am Jesus Christ coming to PC. But there's a lot of good shit hopefully coming out this year, and we're going to be covering a lot of it right here on Spotlight Games. But any closing thoughts, gentlemen? Any games that you're especially excited about, or like, do you have like a top 1 or 2 that like you're just the most excited about for this year?
Again, I'm living in the past, so Resident Evil 4 I'm very excited about, but I'm also very excited to get my hands on the new God of War from Cayman once I do make my way over to his neck of the woods, and I might dox him right here for his address.
I mean, if you know it off the top of your head,
cut
go
out
for it, boss.
Yep. So yeah, I'm living in the past, but those are two of my favorites.
Look, as long as you're living somewhere, if it's the past, that's okay with me. Cayman, what about you?
As of right now, Like a Dragon Engine is going to be the one I'm most excited about. I mean, obviously, if we get some of these games that don't have release dates, like Spider-Man 2, if we get a release date for that, like that probably will be the game I'm the most excited about this year. But keeping it relatively within ballpark range, definitely Like a Dragon is going to be that probably the number 1 for me. Then probably RE4 remake, and then shockingly enough, Dead Space remake. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you get one of your top 3 in just a few short days.
I'm getting back into my horror game grind.
Ooh, let's
hot
go.
Minute.
I think for me, the next Zelda I'm really excited about. I want to see if they can do it again. I want to see if they can do what they did with Breath of the Wild again and recreate that magic, or if they do something completely new with it. I don't know. So I'm excited to see what that is. And I also am really excited about Marvel Spider-Man 2 because I have this sneaking suspicion that Marvel Spider-Man 2 is going to include Wolverine because Insomniac is also making a Wolverine game. And I just think that'd be really cool if we got that. But we'll get there. We'll get there, boys. Well, that's our show, folks. It was a long one, but I hope that you think it was a good one because I did. And I'm glad that you're along for the ride. John, especially, and Cashcrow, I know you were late, but thanks for joining us in the chat. We will be back next week. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think we might have another guest next week, or that might be in 2 weeks. So keep your eyes on socials for that. But yeah, let us know what you are excited about for all these games we just talked about. And maybe we skipped one that you're excited about. Let us know. YouTube comments. You can DM us at Spot Games Pod on Twitter. You can DM us at Spotlight Games Pod on Instagram or TikTok. Or you can follow us here on Twitch at Spotlight Games Pod as well, so that you are notified when we go live, so you can be part of the conversation. Cayman, where can they follow you? Where can they follow Save Trash Cinema, the podcast?
You can follow me at Twitter at Kitty Cayman. You can follow Save Trash Cinema on all socials at Save Trash Cinema. because we don't have to run into issues of people wanting that dumpster fire of a name.
Dope. Mikey, what about you?
Yeah, you can follow me at Mark Wahlberg's twin 1212 on all my socials.
Yep.
And I'm gonna be starting a Twitch soon with that handle.
Great. Are you really?
Maybe.
I hope you do, because I think it's brilliant. Awesome. Well, and also last thing before we go, don't forget about Spotlight TV Pod at Spotlight TV Pod on all socials. New episodes every Monday night as soon as Jeremiah edits the podcast. So we had originally planned on releasing on Wednesdays, but now they're Monday nights. So if you're watching the show, let us know what you think. But for now, Mike, I'm giving you your night back because I just hijacked an hour and 40 minutes of it. But thanks for coming by. Always appreciate when you spend some time with us. Cayman, get fucked, and I'll see you next week.